production videos, but honestly, right now I'm switching vehicles so much it's hard to keep track of the camera, and I'm just basically doing live streams because I don't have the camera and I don't I just don't have time to edit the videos right now. So this is you guys can be you can be happy that I'm uploading anything, and maybe we'll get back to regular videos one day. But I wanted to do just kind of an update on this car. So I just purchased a multi OBD2 multi-gauge deal from Amazon. It was around $80. It's an Accu something, Accutrol or whatever, I don't know. Anyway, that's it sitting in there. It's really cool. Works very well. Pulls a lot of pulls all your DTCs, of course, and then pulls a lot of PIDs, so you can get things like fuel level, average fuel consumption, instant fuel, all that good information. And unfortunately, I haven't found a way of customizing the screen, so I get instant fuel economy and temperature, RPM, mile per hour, and direction of travel, voltage, all good information, but I don't really care about instant fuel. I'd much rather have the PID in there for the fuel level and turn that into a fuel gauge, and that would make it just about perfect. It is USB updatable. There may be a way of changing it or hacking it, so we'll see, but that's not my permanent solution. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about wins and the fails and the tails. So getting back to what I was saying, I just reached the 400-mile mark on this setup. Unbelievable. In about 3.5 weeks of driving it on mostly the weekends. And it's been okay, but I've had a few persistent issues, and I wanted to gripe. Basically, I wasted a lot of money on this AccuAir setup, and I'm kind of pissed. So I want to complain and bitch about it just a little bit, let you guys hear it, give you a fair warning of the air ride thing. So bottom line is, the air ride is actually more of a pain in the butt than I had thought that it could be. And the reasoning, I'm gonna go back to my reading glasses scene here. I'm just gonna go sit down. Actually, we got to walk and talk. I've got to go put this in the fridge. I brought some lunch out here. Anyway, so it's an AccuAir Indo CVT. And if you know air rides, you know that I am screwed. That the fact that I bought that in the first place was a huge mistake. But at the time they were in business, the system's so bad that it basically put them out of business. Somebody bought them out, bought the name, bought the rights to the products, did not extend any warranties on the CVT stuff. I don't know about the others. I don't blame them, but it really sucks because it could have been, I don't know, who knows what kind of backroom deals they were. But the bottom line is that consumers got screwed. The people like me that bought the Indo CVT system. Why isn't my door opening up? They locked me out of the house. All right, hang on a minute, guys. I got to think one thing at a time. That's crazy. It's making the sound. There we go. Nothing that you can't buy anything anymore. Unfortunately, that actually works. Like it's supposed to work. You know, it seems like no matter what you buy, it fails. Not like it used to be. Not like a 73-year-old car you can drive around all day long. Hang on one second, guys. I gotta put this stuff up real quick. My food getting hot, spoiling before I even get to eat it. Alright, we're good. And I don't even know. I guess I'm holding this the right way. Okay. So, long story short is I bought this AccuAir CVT. It's a piece of crap. It's known throughout the industry to be a piece of crap. You still can sell the system, parts of it, and every now and then you'll get a buyer that will come along and pay you stupid money for it, but it's basically a defective system in multiple ways, and it's going to fail. It's not if, it's when, and the when is going to be a lot sooner than you want it to be. So what kind of problems am I having? Well, so far it's actually working, sort of. the reason I bought the system is the compressor is in the tank and it's very quiet. Now I just heard about another pump that came out. It's a European pump, and I just heard about this pump, and it's supposed to be fairly quiet, but it's not in tank, but it might be quiet enough. But this car will not receive a standard compressor unless it's a backup compressor. If I have to hear a compressor charge up, uh, that's more than 10% louder than the CVT, then I'll put coilovers on the car and be done with it. I do not want to hear an air compressor in this car. That's the one thing I've always really disliked about air ride. Anyway, long story short, the compressors are known to fail. The electronics are known to fail, both because some of the electronics are inside the tank and they get moisture on them, and also because they designed the circuits to be not up to par, not able to handle the load of, I guess, the compressor. I don't know about the solenoids, but in any case, they fail. And when they fail, they leave you stranded. 100 miles from home, too bad. So that's a big problem. And I build my cars to where I can take them wherever, and I don't want something that's going to go out. So I'm looking at just pulling the whole system out, throw it on eBay, let them take their 30-something% fees, and be glad that I walked away with anything. The whole system works fine, but I am having leak down in the front, and I'm really having a hard time finding the source. So I'm going to pull the bags out, try to see if I can air them up and see some kind of leak that I've missed. I don't think the endo system is causing it, but I have read about at least one case where the solenoids leaked back on somebody while they were on the interstate and they were forced to pull over and get towed. So who knows, maybe another defect. But the other thing that I'm learning about air ride is I don't like not knowing what my car is doing. So I'm definitely more of an auto level. I would definitely consider myself an auto level kind of person, not a click and guess. And one of the problems is that this car goes low enough that I could drag the fuel tank. So if it were to start leaking down and I didn't realize it, I'm going down the highway, that could be bad. And also the oil pan is a M-Tech, so it's a special rear sump pan. It's the only one that you can buy for the 4.2, and you kind of get what you get. And the oil pan is slightly lower than the cross member, so I have no protection. It's very thick cast aluminum, but I've already scraped it twice, and thankfully it's very thick. But I have to be careful with dropping too far. I want auto level. I want a sensor. Well, what really ticks me off about AccuAir, and I guess all the companies do this, but since some of you or a lot of you probably have not touched air ride, much like I had not until this project, let me just show you some of the annoyances that they give you. So you notice this is on the dash, and it's actually stuck to the dash with a magnet. Now, you would think that this might be metal, because it looks like it is, that you could put a magnet on that and then stick it onto something, but it's actually like a chromed plastic, so there is no metal there. But, a good piece of 3M double-sided tape and a nice rare earth magnet, and now I've got something that I can stick on, although I'm not real hot about sticking on my old paint here on the dash, but they don't give you anything for that. That controller drifts around the car, real pain in the butt. So I think if you buy the upgrade, that it might have a magnet built into it. Now, maybe the new company is doing that bought out AccuAir. But, you can buy 1,000 different mounts for this. I think you can buy different covers. But for what the system cost, why there wouldn't have been a magnet in there to start with is just beyond me. But here's the fun thing. If you get online and you look at the auto level system from AccuAir, it looks identical to this, except for right here, there's a little LED. What does it tell you? It tells you the compressor's on. If I didn't need it for the non-auto level system, I don't need it for the auto level system. It's completely useless. Maybe if it was auto leveling a lot and you were driving down the road and you didn't notice it, that might say, hey, that light is coming on a lot, something's up. But that's really the only difference. And then up here, instead of switch speed, it says E level. And the buttons are all identical. In fact, you even have the 3, 2, 1 button here. And I'm dumb. I don't know about air ride, so I bought this thing thinking, oh yeah, I can program in. It has at least pressure sensors, and you can set three different levels. No, that's switch speed. That's what the switch speed is. And all this is three is the highest speed, which means if you push this button and hold it, it holds the solenoid open and causes the car to air up or air down quickly. Two, all it does is starts pulsing the solenoids and reducing their duty cycle basically. And one does it even slower. And then you open up the instruction book and there's a big warning that says use of two and one will prematurely fail the solenoids, something like that, because of the pulsing is very rough on them. So the whole system, it's a farce anyway. It sounds stupid. Uh, that's actually loud when it's pulsing those. So I don't know. There could have been a better way to do it for what this thing cost. But the point is this: it's the same exact thing, except for that little light. And when you buy the E-level system, you have to buy the E-level sensors, which are four uh, 0 to 5 volt position sensors that you put on the four corners of the car on your suspension. So it reads back to the computer. The front left A arm is at 4 volts or maybe near the limit of travel. And the front right one's at 3 volts, so it's not as close to the limit of travel. And then the system will compute where you're at and level the car up. There's no reason this controller couldn't work for that. But no, you have to buy the one that says E-level, which is an extra $400 just for this little piece of crap with a plastic bag. And then you got to buy the computer. And by the way, that's the E-level computer, which I don't know for sure if it replaces the whole computer, but I've heard that there's a new version of the main computer for the air system that is a lot better than the one that came with this system that was released by the new company, which is probably another $400. So all told, I mean, I'm looking at maybe having to spend $1,500 to $2,000 to get auto level and still be attached to the piece of crap AccuAir Indo CVT, unless I convert it to a VT, which means removing the compressor and making it only be the valves in the tank, and having to buy a different controller, which is probably another $300 or $400. So, long story short, I'm pretty disappointed. Leak downs, imminent failure, and not having the features that I want without spending a whole bunch more money. It's not been the most pleasant experience, honestly, and I don't think I want to spend another penny with AccuAir. I don't care that it's a new company that owns them and maybe they've got better ethics on their designs than the old, but I equate that name with problems, and so now, I don't know. It's just one of those deals. So I've got an idea of using Arduino and making my own controller. It's been done. There's, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 people on YouTube that have done it, and I think that's what I'm going to do, because you can buy the Firestone or the Cadillac suspension sensors. You can put those on. They're maybe $50 each. I've got all the weather pack connection tools that I need to build my own, factory style harnesses. I've already got to buy a compressor. I'm going to put 2 in because I want to have a backup, and I'm going to find the quietest compressors on the market, and that's what I'm going to buy. And if they're not quiet enough and I can't get them quiet, then I'm going to go to coilovers and be done with air ride. But I've already got plenty of Arduinos. I just need to buy the relay shield. It's got enough inputs to read all the sensors, the tank pressure, to make buttons up here. And I don't know the video that's on YouTube right now, but there is one on here where a guy made his own Arduino-based controller. And Jeff, Florida Jeff. Yep, LS is in the IROC, mocked up, but I've got a lot to figure out on it. And yeah, I wish I had a 6.0, but we'll make the 4.8 work for now. Anyway, I'm going to try to do it, I think. I'm pretty sure, because I'm sure as heck not spending $2,000 or $3,000 to risk another poorly designed anything from any company when I've already got almost everything I need here to do it, and it won't cost me more than a few $100s to do it myself, and I can have buttons that do whatever I want, So my idea is to have some sort of buttons on the car, maybe mounted, I don't know, maybe magnetic. I want to have, obviously drop. If I go somewhere, I want to drop it all the way down. I want a low, which would be the lowest feasible cruising level, where I don't have to worry about tearing the fuel tank out of the car. A normal middle cruise, and then a high one for clearance. So going into a steep driveway, hit that button, and the car pops up. And the guy had an auto level so that he could manually set the car where he wanted it, and then just hit auto level, and it would re-level it. So, oh, Jeff, how you doing, Jeff? Hey, man. Uh, Shoot, he's local to me. But that's my plan right now, is to build my own. But I've been on this AccuAir rant thing now for 15 minutes. It's time to talk about other things in the car. What kind of problems, what kind of good things are going on? Well, as I mentioned, this little gauge right here is freaking awesome. It's not cheap. $80 for a little Chinese circuit. Probably, they probably bought them in bulk for $14, but it's actually got a lot of information on it. So I am pretty dang happy with that. It's reporting just under 400 miles since the last DTC clear that I did. So that puts me right at 400 miles that I've put on the car. And, well, let's see. Let me start with heater control. So my vintage air unit, the controller has gone bad in it. It's also a little bit wacky on the dash vent selector. So when you go from the floor to defrost to dash vent, for some reason, it is no longer going to dash vent select. It'll do the floor and it'll do defrost and a combination thereof. But doesn't seem to want to go full dash. At the same time, the heater controller went out, which is on the same board. It has failed. So the story on that is I had a leaking heater hose, and it went in here, and the control board is not potted, and it is mounted in the bottom of this permanently. To replace the controller, you literally have to get a new controller from them and mount it somewhere, which to me would be much better mounted separate than being built into the unit where it can get wet if your drain doesn't work good, or as in my case, I had it laying down here for a couple days at an angle to where it couldn't drain, and I didn't realize the heater core had started leaking, the hose going to it. So I think it cooked out the controller. $40, or it's got a 3-year warranty. So they said get a picture of the serial, and if it's in warranty, we'll send one. Otherwise, $40. So that, not too bad. But I cannot turn down the heater core. It just is what it is. So not that I have air working yet, but that's failed. Second thing, I bought a Metra board, which is right here. What does it do? It does your dingers. It's not supposed to be dangling, but that's another story. I actually hacked up the original glove box replacement thing that I had. It's just kind of sitting in here right now, but we actually have a place to put the insurance card and all that. But I had it mounted up there, but I pulled it down because we're on a little drive and the amp stopped working. And we fought that on the entire drive. Then this morning it was working when I left, and then halfway here it went off, and then it came back on. Well, there's a light circuit built into that, or at least a light signal for your radio. I don't think it's designed to handle any load. And I have 2 incandescent bulbs, one in the radio, one in the clock, that I tied into that circuit, wondering what would happen. I believe that it burned up the Metra board, at least the output for that, and that somehow that's what's causing it to go on and off. So that's a $40 fail. I'm going to have to replace that. What's a win? Got the headlight sensor mounted. So the automatic headlights are fully functioning and they're working great. I put the sensor there because from the driver position, can't really see it. And I like that. I don't want to see anything. I don't even want to see that. I don't want to see anything that wasn't factory or doesn't look like it could have been. Air vents, well, what are you going to do? They're chrome. So they look like, if they put air vents in this car, that's probably what they would look like. Other than they probably wouldn't have put it where the headlight switch would normally be. This is temporarily mounted where I can see it, just for troubleshooting. Also, right now, the only way I can turn the dome light on is to use the manual dome light there. And my fan is currently on the fog light sensor, or fog light switch. But I drove all the way here today, 15 miles, no fan. So this thing is very efficient at cooling. Also, I've added in these 4 knobs here. These are temporary, as are these labels. I'm going to use a piece of stainless. I'm going to use my fiber laser. And I'm not doing these stupid pictures because they would never have done little icons and pictures. And so I am, well, I zoomed. There we go. We're going to be doing nice stainless little, I don't know what you want to call them, but indicators, I guess you could put, or it'll actually say, defrost, mix, dash, whatever that it's going to be. And then I'm replacing these hopefully with an ivory button that's going to fall somewhere between the radio and the design of the vacuum wiper knob, which is currently unavailable, unfortunately, and it's a very unusual size shaft, so hopefully those will turn back up soon. Speaking of knobs, I really want to talk about this right here. Let me get these. This is a gripe. This is a warning. This is a save yourself some money. If you're watching this video and you're going to build your own car, don't get screwed like I did. Almost got screwed. So, you know the name of the game today, guys. And I'm not even going to blame it on greed, because it's really not. I have a corporation. I make a profit. I even raised prices. I didn't want to do it. In fact, I resisted as long as I could. But when they're printing all this cash, the cash you have is not worth the same. You can't buy the same thing with it. You have no choice. You need more money. You need lower cost. In my case, I sell labor. There is no such thing as lower cost. Labor has gone through the roof. And then you've got these big companies that are able to throw all these big benefits, and it costs a lot of money to do that. And so that's how our prices went up. But then there's other companies like Eckler's, who traditionally I associated with quality, a good quality source of parts. I thought amongst some of the best, but they have jumped on the bandwagon of Chinesium, low cost, buy the cheapest stuff you can, use your name, and sell it at the highest possible price. So I have here some radio, but these are the push buttons for your stations. Fargo, and matching Fargo, also known as Counterpart Automotive, quality assured, as Counterpart Automotive made them. These are your knobs, 2 of them. There's the other 2 right there. All right. So, problem. One of these is a dummy ring, which is normal. On this radio, you only have a tone knob, okay? And the other one just spins freely. So that little D shaft opening right there does not fit. Doesn't fit. I even took a socket and put on there and tried to drive it on because I didn't really care. I just wanted it to go on. Doesn't fit. Luckily, I just bought some fancy little files. I have a nice little round file that I can probably make it fit. I paid $53 shipped for these 4 knobs and these 5 push buttons from eBay. The buttons, another story. That little slot right there is not as wide as all the other buttons. Problem is on the radio, see how that's wider? Put them side by side. See, that bottom one's narrower. Well, I don't know why it is. Maybe one of these radios out there had a difference. But I've looked at a lot of pictures, and everything I've seen says they're all the same. All 5 buttons the same size. So why is this narrower? So I thought, all right, eBay, knockoff junk, whatever. Somebody made it and somehow they screwed up, or I don't know. But obviously this is subpar, right? So let me go to the source. Let me go to the Eckler's, where all the Corvette parts come from and all the good stuff comes from. And I got an Eckler's, and man, they were so expensive, so expensive. They're, I think it was like $65, $70, something like that, plus shipping. And I'm in Florida, so I'm close, and the shipping wasn't a whole lot. But it was a lot. It was like $10 or $12 for Maybe it was even $20. Maybe that's what it was, $20 to ship them from Florida to Florida. And they took forever to get here as they took the cheapest method. So finally it arrives, and I'm thinking, well, hopefully they fit, because they were a lot more money, and I don't want to send them back. And I just, I'm sure they're going to fit. Open up the bag, open up the package, Fargo. They were Fargo. They were the same stuff, but they were 30 something dollars more. So Eckler's, the hell with you. I'm never ordering anything from you again if I can get it somewhere else, because now I see that you guys are just marking stuff up that you get as cheap as you can, trying to act like you're the king of the hill, and I might as well just go to Amazon or eBay and get it from the source and save the huge markup, 60% markup or whatever. So now I'm gonna have to, here's the other part of that story. I had to tear out the original buttons, which they weren't in the best of shape. They were starting to get, the ends of them were gone and they were open. The knobs were still okay. They looked rough. One of them was cracked, but they were still intact. But that's another story. I didn't want new buttons and have old knobs, even though this is. But again, I'll replace this eventually. Well, these had basically glued themselves on, and I had to completely destroy the knobs and nearly damage the radio to get them out. In all my creative ways of trying to get them out, I tried zip ties behind the buttons on a 90-degree pair of needle nose pliers, which I thought it was working, but it ended up being the zip ties stretching and breaking. And when they broke, I had this down. When they broke, it swung over this way and gouged my nice new painted steering column. So it's just been I'm going to tell you, this whole week has been a bad week. Yes, the car has made every trip successful. It's doing pretty dang good. It's doing 16 miles per gallon around town. I don't know, on the road, 22, 23 probably. I don't know. I haven't really checked that. But, things like this, the failure of this control module, had a persistent leak from the heater hoses. I finally got that straightened out. The Metra box going out. Had these lights working, temporarily, and of course they're out. Little rattles and things here and there. This thing ticking me off, just the whole concept of this controller, and then the problems that I've been having with leak downs and a persistent leak. Let's go look at this. There's a lot more good news than bad news on this car, but the persistent leak that I've been dealing with up here is defective fitting. So if you look, there's a fitting down there, which I would love to just magnetically stick this light on here. If you notice there's some paint missing, that's brake cleaner ate the paint up. But as you can see, there's a paper towel down there. There's no pink, or what pink is on there is just residual. I had to replace that fitting. So there's a 45 and then a 1/4 inch NPT. But I originally started out with 1/8 inch NPTs, thinking that that's what it was, and realized it wasn't. So I bought a 1/4 to 1/8 inch adapter. Well, if you look at this side, you can see the paper towel is all pink. And the reason that it's pink is this side is leaking. Well, sorry, not pointing it out there. That side is leaking. And I actually took it apart yesterday, completely redid it with the Teflon sealant, cleaned everything up, put it all back together nice and tight, drove it home, and had the same leak. Well, that's what happened on this side, and I replaced the fitting, and I was going to do that yesterday, but being that I'm up here in the middle of nowhere, it is impossible to get a fitting in less than an hour's drive. So I thought, well, I'll clean it up, put this one back in. But clearly, I had either defective 1/8 inch MPT fittings or defective 1/4 to 1/8 fittings, and this has plagued me because it has put automatic transmission fluid all over the front end, all over the steering box. I've ruined paint by using paint cleaner, brake cleaner on here several times, trying to keep the car looking halfway decent underneath and not covered in dust and dirt and transmission fluid. So that has been a persistent aggravation of mine. I think I've got the solution sitting in the car. I've got a new 1/4 inch fitting. So we're going to take it all apart again, clean everything up, put the high dollar, high quality sealant on it, and hopefully we're going to be good. With the That's the last leak on the car. That's the good news. Everything is dry. It's like a brand new car, no leaks. Gotta love it. Jeff, if you're still on, there she is. I've got to figure out the brackets and all that. I don't really know the lingo or anything. I know there's truck balancer pulleys, there's F body, there's Corvette. I don't know which one they put on here. I don't know how to tell them apart. I know there's one truck bracket set that puts the power steering pump right there where that's at, and that's where I'd like it to be because that means I can just use the same hoses. But I don't know which truck it is. I don't know anything about that. Got a huge learning curve to follow through on that, but we'll get there. But I need to order an oil pan. That's definitely the wrong oil pan that's on there now. So I have to get a whatever F body or whatever it is. Anyway, no leaks. It successfully arrived each time. I had a pretty good driveline vibration, and I realized that my pinion angle was not what it was supposed to be because when I set it up, I was not done with everything, and so the height of it ended up being different than I thought it was going to be at the time. I reset it yesterday, got rid of most of the vibration, but I left it at the transmission's 3.5, and I left the differential at about 4.5 to 5 because I read it was better to have it a little bit over than exactly aligned. But I think I'm going to go ahead and put one more turn in the LCAs, which is going to bring it to about 4 degrees, 4.5 degrees. So it'll be within 1 degree, and see if I can get the last bit of vibration out of it. What else? Well, the car's getting lots of attention. It's a total success in that. I've met so many new friends in the last week. It's unbelievable. Everywhere I go, went to a little drive-up restaurant last night and had a couple people come over and ask me about it, what year it is, and showed them some of the features. Went out of town, ran into a local guy from here that was there that was telling me about a week or a monthly cruise, which I was aware of. Uh, yeah, I bought some boiled peanuts, and yeah, that's the thing here in Florida, and got basically held up there for 10 minutes because the guy was telling me all about his, years in the past that his grandma had one of these, and it was an interesting story about the wheel coming off of it. But yeah, it's definitely a conversation starter. So, and she's 73 years old this year. Um, so of course she's going to start some conversations. But unfortunately, my little seat tear right here, it's starting to double. There's another one starting right here, and it's just gotten a little bit longer. I really wish that I could keep this old 40-something, 50-year-old stuff that's in here. Um, I don't know. Maybe I can glue it from behind. Remember those vinyl repair kits they used to have on TV back in the 80s? Maybe one of those would work. But I'd really like to just leave that alone. I don't want to spend the money, and I don't want a brand new interior in the car. I really like the patina. It's bad enough that I had to tear the headliner out, but the wiring was bad on the dome light, and the headliner was looking pretty rough. So I'm gonna go ahead and redo that. Maybe eventually I'll redo everything, but I've had more than one person tell me that they love it the way it is, other than the trim, which I've got these pieces to put back on it. I didn't get these with the car, so I need to get those. They obviously used some double-sided tape on here at some point to try to stick on some kind of trim. I'm afraid if I try to get that off of there, that it's not going to look good at all. Like it's going to ruin the paint. And if I leave it on there, it's probably going to show up by the edges of the trim. So I've got to come up with a solution for that, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, people just like these old cars, so it's all good. What else? I still haven't done the alignment because of the airbag leak down situation. Can't really bring it to an alignment shop because it'll air down in the time that they're doing it. Joe, appreciate it. I'll look into that bracket for sure. But I need to try to get this thing where it's not leaking down. So that's kind of my short-term goal. Get the leak down at least to where it takes a day or two to leak down. I don't mind that, but this, an inch in 15 or 20 minutes or whatever it does sometimes is excessive. You can't hear any air leaking anywhere. So I have no idea, other than just taking all the components out and airing them up and seeing what's leaking with soap and water. Got my trusty little leak detector bottle here, but so far it hasn't revealed anything. So I don't know. Maybe I'll take that wheel off today and take a look at it. Not much else I can do. This bad boy, pretty much, I don't want to try to mock anything up until I've got the accessories, because as sure as I put something on here thinking that I'm good to go, and then whatever brackets I end up having to use, put something in a different position, then, well, then I'm going to be in trouble. If I go single, probably going to try to make it on the passenger side. Although in some ways the driver's side would be better. But I've already got the boost controller over here. I've got a bigger hole to deal with the air filter and all that, so this would be the preferred location of it. And I've got the fuel pressure regulators and things over there. I may actually switch out to a C5 filter in the back and just go to the quick connect fittings uh, instead of this. But the nice thing with this regulator, not only is it adjustable, but I've got a nice pressure reader on there that goes straight into the Holly. So I'm probably going to try to keep this. This is set up for dual fuel rail feed, so it splits out. I don't remember how I've got it. This is your pressure. So the fuel pump feeds direct, and then this is your return, basically off the regulator. But I think I've got two fuel lines coming up here. Um, Maybe I don't. I don't remember. I had some things done on this car. Maybe I had them switch over to a single larger fuel line. I don't really remember, guys. It's been years now. It's been 3 or 4 years ago all that happened. So, uh, hopefully what I've got there is going to support what we need, though. Okay, yeah, I'll check that out for sure, Joe. Oh, you know what? I think I want to say I clicked on that. Maybe I didn't. Somebody gave me a link and it didn't go. It wouldn't go to anything. It's like it's not available anymore. But I'll check that video and try that link again. It may not have been that one I'm thinking of. So yeah, I can't get to the fitting on top of the front bags, or actually even on the back. But fortunately, they're not leaking down. But it's inside of an adapter for a coil spring top. One day I will cut those off. If I get completely sold on air ride, I'll cut those off and put an air spring upper, not an upper control arm, but the actual spring saddle, basically, because I was going to go with coil springs on this car originally. I really need to cut those off and put on air ride to where I can get to all those fittings. So what I've got for now is I put a 2 foot piece of airline on with compression fitting on top of the spring, and I feed that through a hole, and then over back a couple of feet is where it joins to the main airline. And I have checked those fittings, and there's not a peep coming out of those. So if it's leaking, it's either the airbag itself or maybe the new fitting on top of the airbag. I'm just going to have to drop it out and air it up outside of the car is the only way I can do it. So, I guess, I've burned off now. Come on, Zoom. I burned off 38 minutes on this video, and I'm not getting anything done, so I'm probably going to wrap this up. I really just wanted to do an overall update. Uh, just talking about the 49. I'm pretty happy with it overall. I've just had a really bad run with it this week. We've had and you expect you're going to have some bugs. We had that vibration issue. Thankfully, solved that. The amp issue really kind of aggravates me because the amp's been working fine, and I think the amp is still fine. I think it's just that Metra box acting up. I was so happy I had all those lights working, and then they stopped working yesterday. The air ride is plaguing me for a couple of reasons. Uh, the fact that it's leaking down, as well as the fact that the product just sucks. And, I invested all that money into what was the biggest name in air ride at the time, thinking I was going with a solid system. And, I got burned. But on the plus side, the car is, it's been reliable. There are really no leaks other than this one transmission cooling line leak. The mileage is good. The cooling is phenomenal. I really thought that if I was going to have any problem with the car, if I had to bet some money, it was going to be this setup right here because it's so tight. And the fan overlaps the belt and pulleys, the back of the fan motor. So, it's tight. Where's the air going to go? Well, I don't know, but it goes somewhere because this thing runs cool. The floorboards don't get hot. Now, granted, I haven't been in a 45-minute traffic jam in July in Florida with the air conditioning on. Probably changed my opinion a little bit then. But, a 75 or 80 degree day, don't have to put the fan on unless you stop for a while, and I mean a while, before you ever have to think about putting the fan on. So I'm super pleased with that because that means at very minimum, I've got some bandwidth on the, being able to have the air conditioner on this thing. We'll see how it does with that. Also, I ordered a fan controller. I can't think of the name, but I'll definitely add it to the video. I'm a little disappointed with that. It's a PWM fan controller. What it does is it reads the outflow of the radiator, reads the temperature of that, and then ramps the fan speed up from like 15% to 100% based on what the temperature is, and you can adjust it so that if it's just a little bit over thermostat temperature, the fan will kick on slower, not make any noise, not draw so much current. But let's say that you get stuck in traffic and it gets hot outside and all of a sudden it's not cooling as good, it'll slowly ramp that fan up to however high it has to go to get that temperature down, and then it'll slow the fan back down. So pretty cool concept. $170 for it. And what I'm upset about is I didn't get an email confirming that it shipped. And when I emailed him about it, he said, yeah, it's sent. Well, I still don't have it, and he didn't send a tracking number, and I'm sure he has. But, by the standards of today's customer service, I kind of expect to get a tracking number automatically, and I didn't. So that part of it I don't like, but hopefully the system will be good. Also, his website is very confusing, super confusing. Really needs to be redone. And so I was confused about the sensors, and he's got a plug sensor, he's got a standard sensor, he's got a whatever sensor, and I guess it comes with one kind only, which somehow slips under the hose or something. And I thought that it was going to be a bung sensor, so I ordered bungs, and then he told me, no, the plug sensor is $40-something extra. So I'm going to try the one it comes with for now and see what happens. But yeah, I haven't had enough leak issues already, right? So I'm sure I'm going to be putting a bung in right here. Another thing, I noticed the paint was scraped right here. Might be able to, yeah, you can kind of see it right there. Why is the paint scraped when it's not touching? Well, silicone stretches, and so when the system gets good and warmed up, it'll start stretching that pipe over. So we're going to also have to loosen those up, try to push those in a little bit more, because I am worried with that being aluminum and it touching there. Eventually it's going to probably cause an issue that we don't want. Hopefully I don't have to shorten them, but if I do, no big deal. We'll get it done. All right, guys. Well, that's your update on the 49. I don't even know what I'm going to do to it today. Probably change out the fitting on the transmission cooling line, and that's probably about all I'm going to do to it. Maybe I'll pop this bag out and look for a leak because I'd really like to fix that. I need to order some parts. I got to get these accessories, so I'll look at those links you guys mentioned. Once I get all the accessories located, then I can start worrying about how I'm going to plumb it. Oh, also, anybody that watches this video, what is your opinion on using the cast iron manifolds or using these, which appear to be some sort of hydroformed material? These are S10 conversion headers. They are kind of a block hugger, and I put this one on the driver's side, and it would be super nice if I could use that. But, is the flange more likely to be warped and leaky on that than a cast iron or a cast steel, whatever they're using? Because that would work really well. The other side, definitely going to take some serious modification to make that one work. But I could always go to a different manifold for that side. But have any of you guys have done turbos on LS? Have you used anything like this material with no issues? Or based on your experience, would you go with one of the factory cast ones and just cut it off and put a V-band on it? Alrighty, that's it, guys. I'm out. Thank you for stopping by, and look for another video soon. See you later.